So good afternoon, everybody. This is Shay from Inspired Stage, presenting the next one of our Inspired Stage online. And I'm delighted today to be joined by the wonderful Gina Lazenby. So if you've never heard of Gina before, you should have, because she's fantastic. She is the lady that brought Feng Shui to the UK. She has been making houses beautiful for many, many, many years, since the 90s, I believe, right? She's the author of the Feng Shui House book. She is the owner and creator of The Healthy Home, which, as I said on my description of her, is one of the most beautiful homes that you could possibly find on Airbnb to stay in. And, you know, it's been designed to perfection in terms of the energy, in terms of the design, in terms of the Feng Shui potential. So I thought it'd be really exciting to have her on with us today to talk to us all about how to make our space beautiful now that we've got to be in the house. And we're going to put in that usual inspired question of, if you had 10 minutes to share your wisdom, what would you say? So Gina, give us your opening thoughts.
Oh, bless you, Shay. Thank you so much. Thank you for organising this. I'm sure your listeners are really thrilled to hear from you every day with their information. Well,
especially with people like you that are fabulous. So
10 minutes. Whew. You know what, just linking with that 10 minutes, I've asked myself the question, if I was given 30 minutes notice to leave my house because there was something happening, what would I take? And I haven't come up with the answer, so I'm gonna think about that, you know, in that short period of time. You know, what would I do? Well, I think top of the list for the things that are important to me in terms of, you mentioned about making a house beautiful, being healthy, living in a healthy home. Of course, I'm not in the Healthy Home Retreat House. I'm in my own healthy home in Skipton. You know, what am I doing? And really, I don't even know the day when everything shifted. It's about a week, I think, since everything. I mean, in the UK, we had lockdown on Monday, but we were in isolation and we were under restriction before that. And I would say top of the list for spending this time at home is, number one, take care of yourself first.
Yes, so, absolutely.
And I mean that because, you know, there are people setting up programs and doing things and volunteering, and that's important and great, and doing online programs. But only when you've got yourself okay first. And we could be in lockdown, or we could be at home for 3 months, heaven forbid, but you know, they are talking about that. So if we're going to be spending a significant amount of time indoors, and our outside time is rationed, and particularly you've got less outside time if you live in an apartment block, you know, you can't just wander out into a garden, then what are the things to do in the home? And I thought, well, really, what have I been doing? Actually, what have I been doing? And my number one priority was my store cupboard in the kitchen. And I already, since the year 2000, I've already had a large store cupboard. I have the largest kitchen for one, and I have a huge amount of stuff in my store, but I naturally do that. So a couple of weeks before this, I was topping up my amounts, and I buy food from the wholesaler. So I would buy a 10-kilo bag of brown rice, for example, and a 1-kilo bag of seeds, and maybe a 2-kilo bag of lentils, dried food, where in case there was an emergency, and we're kind of bordering on that now, things I could sprout. So what I've done is, I've got a lot of things in my store cupboard. Like everybody else, I was stocking up on some fresh foods last week as well. And so what I did was I took a stock take of everything. I got a spreadsheet out, and I looked at everything I've got. And then I started, I looked at the dates. So I've got a catalogue. I mean, it felt important to me not to do this half-heartedly. If you're going to have a big store and be organised, then be organised. So it's a good discipline. So I've been through the kitchen, and I've been looking at how much I use of everything. I've been weighing things. So I'm kind of measuring and valuing everything rather than just putting a amount in. I've been how many chia seeds is a portion, how many to soak, how much, you know, is a portion of rice. So if I really did have to calculate how many days I had, I'm doing that. And it's good to value things. And in terms of being in the kitchen and cooking for yourself for all this time, as we're largely going to be doing, I was examining in my kitchen what I've got that puts flavour in. It's all right having a whole load of pasta and potatoes and rice, but what you're going to flavour it with. So, you know, what supplies have I got of ginger and garlic, ginger paste, garlic paste, pesto, all those kind of things, and herbs. And where I don't understand spices, and not fluent in all spices, you know, I've been going online and looking at things. So I've been preparing to produce really nice food and tasty food, developing a kitchen routine. The more routine you have, the more safe you break, you know, you feel safe with routine. So just making everything work in the kitchen, which is really, you know, the hub and the heart of the home, and putting, what are my nudges, you know, in terms of eating well? What am I going to eat every day? Because we're really focusing on boosting our immune systems. I've got some extra supplements. I've got them in a nice gold container. I've got a list of what I should take. So I've got the routine, rather than, as I sometimes do, buy a nutrient or something, I forget to take it, you know. Now I'm taking it exactly when I should do. So anything that nudges me to do things well, yeah, setting up the routine. The other thing is you're probably going to change the space of your home for different activities. So I've had to clear a space for yoga. Where's my yoga mat going to go that I can watch my yoga teacher on Zoom? So place for the yoga mat, and I had, you know, I couldn't do it in full sunlight because the sun was out with the blinds down. So setting up that niche so I know where my yoga space is. I've got a trampoline I brought in from the shed, and that's got a place now. So it's like being at your desk, setting yourself up for success. You've got to set yourself up for success at home with the place to work if you've not worked at home before, the place to exercise, the place that maybe you meditate. So I've got a meditation shawl. I've got one on my bed, and I've got one down on the sofa in the kitchen, a nice clear space. So they're kind of little prompts. You know, I can see there's an exercise gadget there, or see there's my meditation shawl. All those things are helpful.
Yes.
Bringing the outdoors in. Now you can see behind me, this is a wall where, I mean, I've loved this wall. This is, you can see it all. It is the sunrise of the forest. And that is wallpaper. I've also got, I'll just take the thing with me here and walk into my kitchen, and this is my wall of plants. So plants are really important in keeping the atmosphere.
That's beautiful.
Clear, clean, breathing, natural, and I'll go back. I feel like I'm outside with all those plants and these trees behind me. I mean, I do want to go outside, but I've got nature indoors. So, you know, if you can get posters of nature, so that it, depending on how much light you've got, bringing nature in actually does have a physiological effect on us, as well as being in nature. So yes, I go outside as much as I can under our restrictions, but I've got nature indoors with me. I've got what do you call those things you put water in and an essence?
A diffuser?
Atomizer.
Yes.
Atomizer. Yeah.
Okay.
So I already use like rosemary oil for concentration at my desk. So I've got that. Pleasing smells, minimize, I use ecological products. I either use vinegar for cleaning, or I use soda, or elbow grease, or ecological products, but I'm not using chemicals. And if you think about it, if you're going to be spending all your time indoors, you don't want to be putting smelly chemicals in, because you'd be breathing them in, and that's really not good for you. So natural products indoors in the house is what I use. I also use tea tree oil as a disinfectant because it's antibacterial, and I've got colloidal silver, which is antiviral, in preference to me putting, you know, horrible bleach on surfaces.
Right.
That's what I'm using. That's what I'm using. But I'm not in a position where I need to. I don't have people coming in and out.
Yeah.
Nobody should have.
Not many of us do right now. I would hope not.
Not at the moment. Open the windows in the morning to let some fresh chi, some fresh energy in, blow the air through, especially if you're not going outside, especially living in an apartment. Also, as I walk around my house, using the power of words, which you know all about, Shay, I've got a decal that says big dreams, another one that says put love in everything. They're positive messages, and I respond to them. I've even got little ones on my computer saying well done. So I'm registering all these little positive messages. And then another one on the top of the stairs that says be happy, happy thoughts. Nice. So it kind of sounds a bit childish, but it does work.
Sounds gorgeous. I love it, actually. So
yeah, carry on.
I was going to say, given that, you know, a lot of our viewers are not going to be allowed to go out right now, what would you suggest would be some simple things that they can do in their home to improve the energy of the home with stuff that they've already got around, maybe?
Well, we're looking at having a few weeks of putting
solitude.
Solitude, yeah, putting a pause button on everything. And it really is a time to reevaluate everything and value things. You know, what do you really need? That's that question about if you had to run out the house and you only had 30 minutes, what would you take? I'm thinking, gosh, there's only so much you can take if you're literally on the run. And what is the most valuable thing? I suppose it used to be, you know, a wedding or a family photograph album. Now, if you've got it digital, that's not so important. So maybe nothing. So we're being called on to see what's valuable. And I think looking at your own space, if you've been busy and you don't work from home, you've been out a lot, then suddenly you're at home, looking at your home with new eyes. So make the home work. I'm going to go through things I've got. I moved into my house 2.5 years ago. And what have I used in 2.5 years, or what haven't I? Do I really need it? Is it useful? And we're asking ourselves these questions in a time of really looking at the value of everything. And when the world goes back to, I won't say normal, when it goes back to a new normal, we will have a new normal.
We will.
Yeah. So
one where we can work online. We'll all have mastered it by then.
Yeah. Well, you know, people are going to be setting up not just a desk from home, it's more than that. It's setting life at home. So depending on how many people you've got, I suppose you've got to negotiate where things can take place and reducing where you can of things you don't need. I have a problem with books. I love books. I really, really try to cut down on books. I've got plenty of time to read now. But, you know, and the charity shops aren't open to pass them off. So at least, I don't know, what do you do with things now if you're getting rid of them? Are there any charity shops open?
I don't think so.
That is a difficult. I suppose that question will come up at some point. Are there places where things can be recycled and shared? There was a website called Goodreads where people put books into the wild, and they just leave a book with a number in, a link to their Goodread account, and they leave it on a table out, you know, near a coffee shop or somewhere, or at a bus stop, and somebody picks it up and then they, you know, if they want it, and then they read it. Now, I suppose we're not touching anything. Mind you, I suppose picking up a second-hand book is just like picking up something in a grocery store that's been handled by someone. I suppose you could wipe it. Yes, it's funny suggesting things, and then I realise we can't do that. Yeah, definitely.
So when we finish the lockdown, we can get rid of those books on Goodreads.
Yeah, but do you know what's important to your routine, and have you got somewhere to do it? Are you going to exercise at home? Are you going to exercise on the spot? Do you already have a bike? Are you going to do yoga? What do you need? What do you need to buy online? Where will it be? And then maybe you need to clear it away to start the next activity. That's helpful rather than getting cluttered. You've got to develop kind of disciplines about routine to support you. But what I would say, Shay, is a really important thing is setting yourself up for good sleep.
So, okay,
turn the Wi-Fi off. Don't leave it on all night. We're now living with Wi-Fi, and I think I turn mine on in the morning and I turn it off at night. I don't want those waves coming through me while I'm asleep, disturbing me. So that's a really important thing to do. Minimize your contact with electrical things in the evening. In fact, you see, here's my phone. Now, if I'm chatting to someone for ages with my phone, then I've got it in my hand. So therefore, having a gadget that holds it, I'm not holding it. So we don't overexpose ourselves, literally, physically, directly, to too many things. So I'm talking to you now, and I'm not got a laptop on my knee. I've got the iPad at a distance. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Monitor how much you've got electrical things touching you. And in the evening, the more exposure to brighter lighting, televisions, and Wi-Fi, it suppresses the amount of melatonin that's normally forming in the body. And so by the time you get to go to sleep, you're kind of internally wired, you know, you kind of, the melatonin isn't there in its capacity. I have a magnesium oil spray, which I spray on me. That's absolute magnesium level. I had a magnesium bath last night with salt and passed out into a deep sleep afterwards.
Beautiful.
You know, what else in terms of sleep? I turn all my lights off. I used to have a little salt lamp in the hall, but a tiny bit of light comes under the door, and I make sure I've got blackout. So I've got no tiny light fractures in the night to disturb me. And if I have to get up and go to the loo, I come back, you know, stumbling in the dark. Keep the light to a minimum. I have an air ionizer in my room as well, which is putting out negative ions, which keeps the air quality really good, rather than stuffy when I'm asleep. I make sure my feet are warm and my head's cool. I don't have, the beds I've chosen to buy are ones without springs. It's really difficult to go out and change your bed now, but you know,
and why did you choose the spring-free bed?
Because that metal underneath where I'm sleeping is amplifying the electromagnetic fields.
Right.
You know, the best place to sleep is outside in a tent. It's not the most comfortable.
I don't see myself doing that.
No, especially for a high-rise apartment. But that is, you can imagine, closest to nature. No, that's when you're going to get the deepest sleep. So as we come indoors and surround ourselves with electromagnetic fields, and we're lying on beds with metal. I also have a magnetic mattress, which takes the, you know, it makes my body relax more. So there's all sorts of things you can do in terms of sleep. But number one is turn off that Wi-Fi so that you're not cooking yourself. You've been around it all day. You know, if you haven't been out, got to give yourself a break. So do think about that, as well as developing your routine about what you're eating, what you're taking, how you're nourishing yourself, who you're talking to, what you're watching. What's your exposure to magnetic fields, and where can you cut down on that?
Lovely. Gina, I wanted to move to, I know you've done some really fascinating work around placements of things in different rooms and what that all means. So could you speak to us a little bit about that? So for example, in this time, if you're looking to expand money, which I know a lot of people are at this time because you're maybe off work, or, you know, what can you do?
There's a Feng Shui is filled with the power of metaphor.
Yeah.
So my front doorbell, for example, stopped working a little while ago, I don't know, maybe a month ago, because it fell off the outside. It's a stock on, and it's wired into a plug-in bell indoors.
Well, there's a sign, isn't there? You're not going to be getting any visitors.
So it fell off, and it fell into water. I didn't know it got wet. So I went back to the shop and I said, I can't open it. And he said, he opened it for me, showed me the technique, and put a new battery in, and it had degraded. So then he gave me a new battery for the doorbell, and I brought it back, and it's not been put back on because it's a little job. I've got to put it back together, make a note how I do that for next time, and I've got to go and find a new way of sticking it on the door. So it wasn't an instant job. Now it's still off. So I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking, well, I don't need anything now. I don't need visitors. You just said I don't need visitors. But if I want to do something online, it still works. My visitors won't be coming to my front door. They'll be coming to my website or wherever I am. So the minute I do think, right, my house is sorted, I'm comfortable, I've got everything in place, I've got my routine. Now it's time to engage with people, or to do something online, or sell something or whatever, engage in some kind of activity. If my doorbell's not working, and then I explained how mine isn't, then I'm going to get less attraction there. Do you understand the relationship?
Yeah.
So keep thinking about what it means, and make sure everything works. So really, in this time of reset and pausing and renewal, if you've got an opportunity to make sure everything in your house works, everything works well, so that when you do go back to work, or you do start to work at something, then all the containers are working. You're ready to receive. Nothing's cracked and broken. Do you understand? Or if it's cracked and broken, then you go, okay, I'm going to fix it, and I can't fix it now because of these times, but I will fix it. In a sense, it's in the process of being fixed, not quite fixed, if you can't get a person to come and see it. But you're aware of it. It's like having water is very much associated with, in Feng Shui, with money and wealth, and the wealth coming towards you, coming into you. If you've got a dripping tap, it's always a sign of somewhere in your organization or in your household you've got a leak. You're paying for something online somewhere that you should have cancelled. There's a little leak in the finances. So be attentive to that, the cracked pipes, the dripping ones, and get a washer and fix it. Our DIY places are still open. Fix
They are.
Things. Don't have stagnant water, I'm growing things all the time. So I've constantly, that wall of plants they're all making little baby plants and cuttings and making them. So I'm always adding to a renewal of energy in my, what do you call my own personal ecosphere. I've got things growing, even though I don't know what they are. I've got movement forward. I would make sure my plants are watered. It's as a priority to my own personal nourishment and the nourishment of what I'm involved in. You would never want dead, dying plants, dry ones, because you're not going to be able to engage with the outside world in a nourished, productive way if you're surrounded by things that are diminishing. Energy's moving forwards or backwards. And if you're surrounded by things that are depleted and dry and needing, and you're putting your energy out into the world to try and get something, you're not going to get that vibration back again. Am I explaining it in your sense there?
You are a little bit, yeah. So my next question is going to be just on some other people's minds, is that love question. So would it be that same thing? What can you do around your house to boost that vibe in people's lives?
Well, there's love and there's a relationship.
Okay.
If I go,
they're two separate things, actually.
Exactly,
it could be.
Exactly. So I'm going to go into my kitchen, and at the top there, can you see the word love?
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. I've got the word love there. I've got another one which is on my radiator, which has just moved down because I'm drying some jars. So I've got the word love around. I've got hearts. I've got words. I feel surrounded by love. I don't have a loving relationship in that sense at this moment, but I am surrounded by love. Now, looking for a partnership relationship. Well, we're just listening to the radio this lunchtime about how, if you're dating someone and beginning a relationship, how do you pursue that in these times when you can't see each other, potentially? So that's an interesting one. But in general, let's put that aside. Make space for someone in your home, in your bedroom, in your life, in your diary, and make space for someone. So you've got room for them. It's all right wanting something, but actually there's no space for them. You haven't made space. Making space, again, this comes down to this time of reflection. Be the person who's worthy of the person you want.
Nice.
So, have a desire for someone, and then think, well, who would they like? If I want this beautiful person, who do they want? And am I that person? Do I have those qualities that I'm seeking in another? And that's a great self-reflection question for these times, when likely that single people now will not be meeting people until these times are over. So making space in your life. Images of two are really powerful as well. I've often been to somebody's house where, they're looking for a relationship, and they've got lots of pictures of single women or single men, or usually single women. Yeah. Solitary, or somebody walking across the desert by themselves. It's amazing how many images you can cobble together that are solitary. And then patterns repeat. So you've got lots of pictures of the same thing. You are going to make that happen. You've made it happen. You're reinforcing it. So pairs of things, matched things, evenness, either side of the bed, you know, matching bedside tables. There's an evenness. There's a duality. There's an equalness to the space. I mean, I did years ago live in a house where I had a sofa for one. I had one of those beautiful Corbusiers, and therefore, if I met someone, where would they go? Where would they sit?
We've got to think about these things.
It's a good question. So, you know, when moving somewhere, I'll make sure I've got a sofa. I've got 2 chairs for conversation, and I've got a sofa where you could cuddle with someone. You know, these are the things to think about. What else in terms of relationship? I think I've covered most general terms there. But the power of the image, you know, about the image of 2, especially when we're alone now. I've got a lot of images of nature behind me. I love that. But I am, you know, I have been creating a social life myself in Skipton, where I've come to live for the first time here after moving to London. And I am aware that this picture, which I'm going to show you in the kitchen, this picture of tomatoes, which I love, it's got right? It's from Berkeley, California. Now that is the place where I need to put a montage of all me with groups, because I often take a photograph of me when I'm in a group or a conscious cafe, me with a group of people, or me having fun. Now I want to get or my brother who's a photographer, to put together all those images and make a big poster and put in that picture, because then when I look at it, it's me with people, and that reinforces community and connection and friendship, as opposed to tomatoes. Single tomatoes.
Although tomatoes will be quite popular right now, I'd imagine. There'll be people watching this thinking, I miss those.
But I know that, you see, I know that, and I've got a mind now, I'm thinking, where are the pictures? So that's kind of in process in my mind. But so for example, if you look around at your own art, you think, there's one bird there, there's one tree there, there's a single nude there, there's, you know, there's a lot of singularity here, and I'm not in a relationship. Then that's where you would think, okay, how can I bring this energy of balance and 2 into my space? That would be really helpful.
Lovely. I was wondering if you have like a favorite success story where you've used the art of like rearranging stuff in people's homes or putting an item somewhere. What's your favorite success?
I'm going to try and think of one that's not complicated. I'm trying to think of one. Well, no, because I mean, there's all sorts of levels to this, and I've helped people with their fertility, but by doing energy. That's not an easy thing to talk about in 2 minutes. But there is one I can explain from my own experience, and that was, back in the early 90s, I had in my office, I had a tall plant, you know, say to here, like a sweetheart plant was growing, and there was a stick in there holding it, and then there were tendrils, and I looked at it and I realized that it had grown to the height of the stick, and it had carried on growing, but it had grown down. So you could actually pick up a piece, like imagine ivy, you could pick it up and I could take it higher. And then I thought, oh, that's interesting. That means there's potential there that I haven't realized. So I got a taller stick, right? I got a taller stick and I put them up. So now suddenly the plant has grown taller. And it was in my fame area, fame and reputation. And literally within hours, I got a call from BBC 2 Newsnight. And that was...
Isn't that incredible?
I know, it was incredible. And that was for... President Clinton had been talking to Tony Robbins and another personal development guru, I'm trying to think of his name now, 7 Habits.
Mm-hmm.
And
Covey, Stephen Covey.
Yeah. And so it must have been New Year, and he'd been talking to them. So BBC 2 wanted to do a story about it, and they found me, the London Personal Development Centre, new at the time, and they rang up, and Kirsty Walk, who's the main presenter there, came over. So I was completely freaked out. Oh my God, BBC 2 are coming round in a couple of hours. and came to talk to me about personal development, you know, what Tony Robbins was doing and why. There was a picture with me with Tony Robbins and they panned in on it. Then I told them about the plants. So we got a Feng Shui story in there as well.
Amazing.
I said, I did this and you came round. So that's, you know, maybe it doesn't happen every time, but that's a pretty interesting one.
That's a lovely one.
For me.
I love it.
But
so you need to pay attention.
Yeah, the thing you can take away from there is, where is the potential not being realized? You know, that the idea of there's something growing and expanding that you're supporting and nourishing, and it can't grow properly. It hasn't got a framework. It hasn't got structure. You put the structure in, it goes, thank you, and then it goes to the next level. But, you know, that's something we can all use this time for. How can we go to the next level? How can we work on our personal framework, our personal foundations, so that when we get the green light, as it were, before or after, you know, the end of this episode, you can move forward because you're stronger. You strengthen those pillars.
Lovely. Gina, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a wonderful conversation. I was wondering if you have any final thoughts that you'd like to leave with our viewers today.
Well, I'm going to show you another sign. I've shown you this before. I'm going to put it above my head and you'll see it says
home. Well, I can see home and story.
Home is where your new story begins, and we are literally, you know, we're all asked to go home and be in our homes and spend more time than we ever think we would spend in our homes. And our home is us. Our home is us, and it may be during this period of time you do to create a new story. I'm sure we're all creating a new story. You might decide that you want to live somewhere else at the end of this and think you want to make a fresh start. You might go back to doing exactly what you did before, but there's you, and then there's your home around you. And you might think, actually, this home, I'm going to make it work for me now, but I want to change it when all this changes, or you know, it's going to reflect who I am now. I'm going to tweak it. It's going to reflect who I've become. So yeah, this is a place for your new story.
Beautiful. Now, if our viewers would like to connect with you offline outside this chat, where can they do that?
Well, I've got what have I got? Gina Lazenby on Twitter, Gina Lazenby on Instagram, Gina Lazenby on Facebook, thehealthyhome.com. You can find me there. Once I've got my house in order here, house in order is a great phrase, I'll be doing more stuff on thehealthyhome.com.
Fabulous.
Doing some filming about what we can do in the healthy home, explaining of what creates a healthy home. So yeah, that would be the place to find me.
And of course you can go and visit the healthy home as well in Skipton.
You can, when everybody's allowed to travel, you can come and stay there. Sleeps 14.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Retreat. Yeah.
Very, very beautiful. Thank you so much for your time. Sending you lots of love. Stay safe. We all need you.
Well, we need you. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. That's fine. And yeah, we'll see you. Well, we'll see you at Inspired and Online again tomorrow. But Gina, I'll see you soon too. So just
good luck. Well done, Shay. You're doing great work. Fantastic.
Thank you.